Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hey everyone, it's 4 a.m. doing some technical analysis. I had a wild night and want to give a bit of a public service announcement. Make sure you've got some liquid Benadryl on hand. I was home alone, ran over a wasp nest in my mower, got stung a few times, never had really any reaction, but I certainly did this time with the swelling face, swelling hands, bloodshot eyes, chest got tight. Almost had to call 911. I almost passed out, but ended up jumping in the cold shower and making my way down to CVS and getting some liquid Benadryl just in the nick of time, but it was a big wake-up call. So make sure you got liquid Benadryl on hand because you never know when you're going to need a shot of antihistamine or, ideally, adrenaline. Gonna have to look into an EpiPen from here. So, checking in on the commodity space, we're going to look at things on the weekly time frame to start, and we'll zoom in from there. Starting it off with the dollar, we have a bearish reversal candlestick on the weekly time frame, but we're in an uptrend, and all the bulls have to do is hold 97.86, about 1.1% or so, to remain in control. So that's the most important support level for me coming up. And it's also important to zoom into the daily chart and say, okay, that's a weekly bearish reversal candlestick. Do we still have a daily uptrend? And the answer is yes. The last little daily higher low was 98.29. We saw a big move up. Now we pulled back a decent amount, but it is still a higher low on the daily at this point. If we are going to see a bear break, it will likely result, or I should say will likely play out, something along those lines. I don't expect to just drop down and break 98.29 from here. I expect a little bounce, and if we're going to lose the daily uptrend, that little bounce will result in just a lower high and then further pullback. But I've been watching this weekly uptrend for the dollar for a couple months now, and as long as that's intact, that's the most important factor for me personally, especially because we just hit 2.5-year highs. So with that dollar strength, the general correlation would be inverse to commodities. Strong dollar, weak commodities, weak dollar, stronger commodities. So looking at gold, weekly time frame, there's no major red flags on this consolidation. Yes, the bulls ideally would have had it to not lose the weekly uptrend because it is a little lower high and lower low. But the ideal scenario when you break a support level, especially when it's confirming a different trend direction, is to see a candlestick like this of bulls buying the dip. And if you zoom out, it is a potential little monthly bull flag at this point. Very healthy consolidation. And again, no major red flags. We would have to see a very clear lower low under 1460. This is the daily chart now. That would start giving the bears follow through. The size of the bounce at this point, we are looking for a lower high compared to 1535, topping out a little bit the past couple of days, but we will also be looking for a higher low compared to 1459. That's our low. And if the bulls, wrong tool, if the bulls are able to hold that level and change the daily trend, that's going to further increase the narrative of a monthly bull flag. So the daily trend change is the most important thing heading into this next coming week. I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit more pullback to start this week. The question is, can the bulls hold this low and change the daily trend? Silver is fairly similar, although the weekly consolidation is a bit more significant. The monthly time frame, you can see it does not look like a bull flag. Too far of a pullback from that high to call it a flag, just percentage-wise. In order to see continuation, we need over 12% on silver. And for gold, it's much less than that. We would need to see about 4%. So big difference in that regard. Silver has more risk and more reward with the volatility, but better setup on this consolidation for gold. We haven't looked at the XAU XAG chart in a while, which compares who is stronger, gold or silver. We already have our answer, but let's just look at it. The daily move, the weekly bounce coming off that low, favoring gold over silver the last month pretty much. So silver on the daily chart, same thing. We need to drop down and hold 1687 and then break resistance of 1778 to change the daily trend. Oil on the weekly chart, 50.51 is our line in the sand. That's a double bottom. We got close. We got down to 50.97 before the bulls started to defend that support. If that level breaks, it is a very notable bear break. That will be the lowest price that we've seen on oil in about 9 months. And there is a lack of support until 42.34 if that level breaks. Let's look at it on the bigger picture. The monthly time frame. High, low of the dump, lower high, higher low, lower high, double bottom, fake out with the Iran news. And on a fake out dropping straight into a bear break, we're looking back into the 42s as the next level. Daily time frame, what's this bounce look like? Just starting to get underway. It's fairly weak at this point. Pretty much anything under 63.33 is a daily lower high. So again, if we're going to see oil try to hold on to that 50.51 support, we need more bounce follow through. We need to hold the low, and then we need to change the daily trend. If we cannot change this daily trend in favor of the bulls, their backs are going to be against the wall, and we are going to be watching this support level for the potential of bearish follow through. And a play here, if we're so close to support and on a broader pattern and a longer term time frame, a play is always using a shorter term time frame to set yourself up for that trade. And what I mean by that is on oil here, if we're anticipating a daily lower high is going to be set and we scout for a lower high early next week, whether it's scaling into a couple positions, let's say the bulls get up to 53.90 when we make one bear entry, and then 54.70 we make another bear entry, just scaling in, knowing we're not going to nail the top. But once that lower high has been set and we start to pull back, you give yourself the opportunity where if this were to be a daily bear flag and we drop down, we're going to break that 50.51 support if this is a daily bear flag, very likely. So you position yourself for the potential. You use the shorter term time frame for the setup of a potential longer term pattern breaking. And ideally, worst case scenario, if we do see that lower high and then drop back down and the bulls do hold 50 and then change the daily trend, you get stopped out at break even or a small loss, giving yourself the good reward potential of 50.51 breaking, but keeping that risk small, knowing that if the daily trend changes, you were wrong about that assessment and that support level can hold. So that just goes into bigger picture things of how I like to base trades and look for longer term moves to play out based on a short term setup. Usually for me, it's a 5-minute setup based on what we're going to look into an hourly. This is more of a swing trade perspective where it's the daily having its impact on the weekly time frame. So natural gas on the weekly chart, trying to set a higher low. 2039 is our support. So we got our low, high, and we're looking for a higher low compared to 2039. This looks like a bullish reversal hammer. So we say, okay, we got our weekly higher low, but we have to zoom in for the details on the daily, and we don't have it just yet because we haven't changed the daily trend. We're confident in weekly higher lows or lower highs when daily trends change, and that hasn't happened. So we are still just looking for a daily lower high to form compared to 2542. And again, if we were to start strong this coming week in the 240s, I'd be scouting a bearish entry, looking for that lower high to be set. But with where we stand right now, we're just looking for that lower high, and the daily trend change has to take place. Otherwise, if we just see a lower high and lower low, we're headed down to test that bottom that we saw in late summer of 2019. So pretty incredible that we gave most of that move back, but it is looking like with this volume and the bounce so far that the bulls are going to defend, looking for a higher low compared to that support level. Hourly time frame, we've had some big volatility. Big move Thursday night, and I talked about looking for a bearish entry if we hadn't consolidated into Friday morning. We did consolidate into Friday morning, pulled back very hard. We established our hourly higher low and then straight into an uptrend. So our higher low and higher high has been set. Now the bulls are looking for another higher low. And again, just keeping an eye out to see if there's a bearish entry opportunity in the 240s early this coming week, looking for that daily lower high to be set. So that's where we stand in the commodity space overall. Hope you have a good rest of your weekend. We'll check back in next week, and we'll see you then. So the end of video content for the next week or so is going to be from my recent trip up to New England, and it's going to start off here in New Hampshire. It's really cool to go back to places that I grew up going to. My dad used to take us camping back when I was 6 years old, so 25 years ago, going back to the same places. And that's really where my love for nature was sparked as a little kid, and being, blown away by wonderment of huge rocks and these cool boardwalks going through caves and things, which you'll see. But that was a whole bunch of nostalgia this past week, and was able to meet up with a bunch of friends that I went through grade school with that I still keep in touch with, and some family. So all good fun stuff. The leaves were just starting to change, missed it probably by about a week or two, but that let us have a little bit of solitude because you better believe that that area gets flooded with leaf tourists right now, pretty much through October. And this one area that we went at about 9 or 10 in the morning, and we were the only people there. So definitely worth the payoff to not have the full-blown foliage, but to experience it and be able to do so with a little bit of solitude.